Hi everyone, welcome in. How are you doing today? Happy Tuesday. Thank you all for joining us for Humanities at Play. My name is Kathleen Kuo and I am a program manager with Nevada Humanities, which is our state's council partner for the National Endowment for the Humanities. So with our series Humanities at Play here on Twitch, our goal is to pair gameplay and other interactive activities with thoughtful discussions about the humanities and how they enrich our everyday lives. So welcome in to everyone. Thanks so much for being here with us today. It's really great to see chat popping off. I wanted to let everyone know a few quick things before I get started here today with our special guest. If you are a first-time Twitch user, welcome. Thanks so much for braving the internet and joining us. I really appreciate you being here. If you would like to chat with us and ask questions, I encourage you to make a free account, and that way you can type in chat. If you're lurking in the background or you're watching without an account, that's totally fine too. But I just wanted to let you know it's completely free to make an account, and if you hit the purple follow button with a little heart, you can get our notifications in the future when we go live. We also have a fun feature called a chat command for those of you who might be new to Twitch, which is an exclamation point followed by a keyword. We have a list of commands that you're welcome to try out in chat. You might have seen some already, and they're listed in the About section on our Twitch if you want to try them, as well as in the title of our stream today. So welcome, everyone. I am going to bring on our special guest today. I'm so excited to have Chrissy Widmayer. Hello, Chrissy. You're on screen now. Chrissy comes to us all the way from Wisconsin Humanities. Chrissy, are you in Madison or Milwaukee? I forgot to ask you where you are.
Madison.
You're in Madison. Okay, so she is in Madison, Wisconsin, and she is the director of the Community Powered Initiative at Wisconsin Humanities. And we'll get into that a little bit later in our stream together today. But as the director of Community Powered, she co-developed humanities and place-based curriculum to help communities recognize, communicate, and act upon their strengths, challenges, and histories. And she is the co-director. She co-developed this along with Dr. Arijit Sen. Is that how you pronounce her name? Okay,
Arijit Sen, yes.
Okay, I want to make sure we give credit where it's due. So that's awesome, Chrissy. Chrissy had trained 4 project coordinators in those humanity methods, and then she supported them in piloting community-led projects in their communities. And as a little bit of background on Chrissy, she has a PhD in Folklore Studies from the University of Wisconsin-Madison and an MFA in Creative Writing from George Mason University. I love that you have an MFA in Creative Writing, by the way. I'm going to ask you about that later. Chrissy spent over a decade teaching writing, oral history, and folklore at universities in Wisconsin and Virginia. In her spare time, she crochets and she makes linocut art prints inspired by nature and her midwestern roots. And this is a fun fact for those of you who might have seen our previous stream with Don Tartaglia. Chrissy is also a co-founder of WiseFolk Productions and a content creator for Folkwise. So today, I'm going to be playing a browser-based game called The Midnight Bakery on stream while chatting with Chrissy about the wonderful work she does for Wisconsin Humanities and also getting to know her a little bit better. So we're going to play about an hour of the game, take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to reconvene for our one-on-one chat with her. And please note that we always love to hear from our audience, so please feel free to put all the comments and ask questions while we're playing, as well as, the second half of our stream when we're just talking to directly one-on-one. So, all right, let's get ready. Everyone get settled in and comfy. Don't forget to hydrate. I'm going to pull up our game on stream. I'm super excited. I have never played this all the way through. I've only done the first little bit with Chrissy, so this is new for both of us.
Yeah. It's going to be good though.
Yeah. I mean, what's not to like about baked goods? Who hates bakeries? If you hate bakeries, out yourself in chat. All right. Welcome to the Midnight Bakery. Let us know, too, if we need to turn the sound down or not. There's a little bit of audio for this game, but I think it's mostly just background music. Okay. You see a letter from your aunt. Dear Jay, thank you for offering to look after my bakery tonight. I'm sure you'll meet a lot of interesting people. Best wishes, Auntie Kay. All right. Okay, well, here we go. Your first customer has arrived. Oh, fun. A witch approaches the counter. Good evening. You must be Jay. Your aunt talks about you all the time. My name's Chaz. I'd like something dark and sweet, please. Okay, something dark and sweet. Chrissy, do you do a lot of baking in your spare time?
I do when I get the chance. Yes, I do like to bake.
I like baking for others, which I guess we are doing that in this game. So this is great. So
Yeah.
you decide you should make a Black Forest gâteau cake. It's the definition of dark and sweet. You get the basics and choose a base flavor. Okay, vanilla or chocolate? Okay, which one? Do we do vanilla or cocoa powder?
We have to do chocolate. Chocolate is the traditional Black Forest.
Okay, have you made one before?
Flavor. I have not, but I have watched enough Great British Bake Offs to know.
Same. That's where I get all my baking knowledge from.
Absolutely, that it is definitely chocolate.
Okay, you add chocolate to your cake. Perfect. This is an educational baking stream now. You mix your ingredients carefully. Your cake is ready to cook now. Now, you need to choose a topping. Do we want dark red cherries or a miniature forest? That's really funny.
Yeah, also going based on Great British Bakery or Great British Bake Off, it's definitely dark red cherries.
Okay. I kind of want a cake right now. You add the cherries to your cake. Your cake is finished. You made a Black Forest gâteau. Do you want to bin your cake? No, we do not. Okay, we like your cake the way it is. Yes.
Yes.
You hand the witch a slice of Black Forest gâteau. She looks pleased. This looks so good. It's exactly what I was thinking of. Thank you, Jay. The witch leaves and a traveler enters. Ooh, spooky. Good evening.
Yeah.
I've been walking a long while. May I have something simple to warm me through? Okay.
Simple.
Chrissy, are there a lot of bakeries near you? I've been slowly exploring the bakeries in my new neighborhood, and it's been a lot of fun the last few months doing that.
You know, I haven't been to a lot of bakeries, but there's a lot of coffee shops that have really good baked goods, usually made in-house. So there's those, and I have enjoyed those.
That is close enough. Okay, you decide to start making a basic vanilla cake. However, you spot a mysterious green vial in the back of the cupboard. It smells delicious. Do you add it?
I mean, it's tempting to add that vial, right?
It smells good?
Kind of have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what it is?
Yeah, maybe it's like pistachio or something. You pour the contents of the vial into your batter. It now has an oily rainbow sheen. Can't be anything wrong with that.
Well, oily, but rainbow.
Yeah. You mix your ingredients carefully. You think you should add something extra to make your cake a bit more interesting. Okay, do we add a cream cheese layer or do we add vanilla icing?
Oh, this is so hard. I think because we're trying to keep it simple, it's vanilla. Vanilla with vanilla.
Okay, sounds good. You decide to ice the cake after it's cooked. You cook your cake, it's finished. You made this is all caps, I love it. You made a cake of either fun or death. Those are two options.
Fun or death. I'm either about to poison this person or they're really going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Glad that's okay. At least those are two options. Okay, you hand the traveler a slice of your cake of either fun or death. Let's find out. I'm a little scared. The traveler watches the cake warily. It's vibrating slightly. Welcome in, David Wizard. Yeah, cake or death. Fun or death, cake or death. Hopefully it tastes good. So the cake's vibrating. After a few moments' hesitation, he takes a bite. His suspicion quickly turns to happiness. Delicious, he cries, and finishes his slice in just a few bites. All seems to be going well. Until he disappears into a cloud of rainbow smoke. Oh no, is this death? Oh no. And oh no. He's turned into a frog. He gives you a rather reproachful croak. Okay, well, you know, not death. Maybe like human death, but he was reborn as a frog, so
yeah,
there's life.
I think that's pretty fun, right? Like,
yeah, that's fun. That's the fun part.
Frog. That's the fun part. It's fun for me.
A vampire approaches the counter. Good evening.
Uh-oh.
He begins cheerily. I am Zaf, the vampire count of the nearby mountains. I'd like something red and fun to satiate my appetite tonight. The traveler, frog, croaks in contempt. Oh no. From the floor of your bakery. It doesn't look like he's leaving anytime soon. Oh no, are we like stuck with this angry frog forever, Chrissy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Tannhauser writes, bruh, you do know your cake turned into a frog, right? You decide to start with a simple sponge cake. You'll add more to it later. I think that sounds good. I'm scared of the vampire. Are you easily spooked? Are you a Halloween person?
I am not. I'm not much of a Halloween person or like horror movies or anything, but vampires I do feel close to because my good friend Jared Schmidt, who is a folklorist, is a vampire expert now and knows a ton about them. So if you ever get a chance to watch his episode on Folkwise about vampires, he did a mini lecture on them.
Didn't he interview, was it someone related to like the writer of Dracula or some, there was some like really interesting.
Bela Lugosi.
Yes.
Bela Lugosi, who played Dracula, his daughter, Jared got to interview his daughter and is now very close friends with his daughter.
That's amazing.
Lugosi.
Yes. So
and so he's gotten to know a lot about that lore and how that movie was made and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
I love plugging people whenever I can. Definitely check out that Folkwise episode if you can. I think it's up on your YouTube channel. So
it is. Yeah.
Okay, we are about to bake a fun cake for a vampire. Will you make it a fun cake or a fun shape or a boring one? Why would we make it boring? He said he wanted something fun.
You have to make it a fun shape.
Yeah,
I want fun.
Okay, fun shape.
Always fun.
You decide to make a Swiss roll cake. Oh, those are good. Okay. Spirals are always fun. Agree. More surface area for filling and fun.
Exactly. Although they are hard to get right, as we know from Great British Bake Off.
Yes, no cracks. Or you cover your cracks with frosting to hide it. Yes, I've learned this too. You cook your cake. Now, to decide the filling, should you fill it with jam or blood? Blood.
Oh my gosh. Well, it is. I mean, it is for a vampire, but is the vampire going to take the whole cake, or are we just giving like one slice?
Yeah, that's right. Is this a cake for someone else?
Who's going to have my blood cake? You know.
I know. Yeah. Also, where are we getting this blood from? Like, we just happen to have.
A really good question.
Yeah, happen to have blood as an ingredient ready. I mean, I feel like.
But I'm a little afraid if we give the jam cake, your Swiss roll, to the vampire that we might get attacked or something.
Yeah. What if vampires eat jam? I don't know. Can vampires eat normal people food?
I have no idea. I mean, some can, so in the lore, but not all of them.
Yeah.
When you think of the Twilight vampires, they all ate food. They just didn't enjoy it. So.
I actually never read or watched Twilight, so that is good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just do blood. Let's make a blood Swiss roll blood cake.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay, animal blood. That makes you feel better. It's not like
that does make me feel better.
Blood. You decided to use animal blood as a filling. Your cake is finished. You made a Swiss roll, but with blood. All right. You hand the vampire a slice of your blood Swiss roll. The vampire looks delighted. Ooh, what a fun little cake. Thank you, baker. He leaves with a huge grin. Aw. Okay, we did it.
That's great. I mean, it was either going to be fun or death, as we've learned, right?
That's true. Or frog. I guess frog is like the secret third option.
It is.
Look at our next little... Is this a cat?
It's a cat. We have a cat visiting us.
Your next customer mews at you expectantly. The cat meows. Oh, okay, that's it. We have a cat that's meowing at us. No instructions.
We have to interpret.
You've never made a cake for cats before. You quickly Google how to make one. You find some tuna in the back of the pantry. Actually, can someone in chat Google, is cake for cats a thing? Is this real?
Yeah. Do they have cat cakes?
I know they have
what do they consist of?
Right, because I've gotten my dog not a birthday cake, but I've gotten him like birthday cookies. I guess like making dog baked goods is like a thing, but I don't know about cats. You find some tuna in the back of the pantry. Should you add some?
Oh,
speaking of dogs, my dog is clawing at my door. Oh no. Okay, should we add the tuna or don't add the tuna?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should. Again, we're making a good product for a customer. That's what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. You add tuna to your cake. As you're mixing the ingredients for your cake, you spot a bag of catnip out of the corner of your eye. Ooh. Should we add a pinch of catnip or pour it
on? I mean, again, we're teetering on fun or death, right?
It's do we want like lowercase boring or all caps fun?
I think we want all caps fun. Let's pour it all in. Let's see what happens.
I also wonder how big is this? Pour it all in.
I also really want to draw more cats to the bakery, so let's make that happen.
Yeah. Okay, a tuna catnip cake. You throw caution to the wind and chuck the whole bag of catnip into your cake. You cook your cake. It's finished. You made a rainbow cake. All right. Perfect.
Magically, rainbow.
How do you get rainbow out of catnip and tuna? I want to know this part. You give the cat the rainbow cake. The cat eats the cake happily. You can tell when a catnip finally kicks in. Look at the cat. Oh, he looks like he can hear colors. Oh, no. It takes him a few attempts to leave. Eventually, he just gives up and walks through the wall. Oh my gosh, a magical cake or cat. Yeah. John says it's a rainbow for the cat because of all the catnip. Welcome in, Millennial Engineer. How are you? Okay, I'm gonna let my poor dog in really quickly. He's making sad sounds. Okay, I'll be right back.
You gotta pay the dog tax and show him.
Want some cake? I know. Do you have any pets, Chrissy?
I don't. I desperately want a pet, but I'm allergic to cats, and I, eventually want to get a dog, but I'm not sure I can have one at my current apartment.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I know. Well, so I have a Shiba Inu, and they're people call them the cats of the dog world, so maybe it's kind of appropriate that he was here. David Wizard said, I looked away for a minute. Was the vampire happy with their cake? They were. Yeah, it was we filled it with blood. Was it vanilla? I forget what. I think it was just a sponge cake.
It was a blood
Swiss roll.
It was a Swiss roll.
It was a blood Swiss roll. Okay, we have, kind of looks like a unicorn lady. Oh, a man. Okay, my apologies for misgendering. A man with a horn on his head enters. You wonder if you should ask him if he's a unicorn. Ask him or don't bring it up. Ooh.
I mean, oh no.
I mean,
it's normally I would never comment on someone's physical features.
Right, yeah. I think it's kind of, yeah, right? Because maybe we shouldn't. Maybe it's rude to draw attention.
Yeah, I don't want to ask. I want to see what happens.
Yeah, what if they just happen to have a horn on their head? Maybe they're like a narwhal folk, Yeah.
Yep, okay. Exactly.
You decide to try and ignore the fact that this man has a unicorn horn. It's extremely difficult. Eventually, you just give in and ask him. Oh. Nonsense, he cries. Anyway. I am a uniman. A uniman.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay.
He refuses to elaborate. I would like a cake fit for one of my kind. Something beautiful and majestic. I'm a little bit sad that we ended up asking, because we were right. He wasn't a unicorn. He's a uniman. We should have known.
Yeah, exactly.
Something fit for a uniman. There's a lot of food coloring here, and there's also some glitter. You're not sure if it's food safe, though. Which do you choose? Glitter or food coloring?
I mean, we gotta go for glitter if we're going majestic.
That's true. Okay, Chrissy.
But it is a uniman, so
I know.
Food safe? I don't know.
Oh, this is hard. Yeah, chat. Maybe we should leave this up to chat. Do you think we should do?
Yeah, chat.
Should we give the uniman glitter, which is not sure if it's food safe, or food coloring? And I like that I wonder if a British person made this game because they use the British spelling of color.
It is, yeah, the British spelling.
I know. I'll let people, put in their votes in chat for their glitter or food coloring. Let us know what you think. But while we're doing this, I see a lot of glitter votes.
There's a lot of glitter.
Chrissy, I know you said you don't bake a lot. Do you cook a lot? Or you do bake a lot, but not...
I don't bake like all the time, but I do bake relatively frequently. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I try to cook as much as I can. It's something that I don't do every day. I eat a lot of leftovers, but I do cook, yeah. And I'm currently obsessed with my air fryer. So that's what I've been using a lot.
Air fryers have been catching on. My boyfriend's parents just got an air fryer, and I guess his mom is making a lot of veggies in it, so it sounds good.
It's great for veggies. I've been making a really good tofu dish in it that I'm just obsessed with, and I've had it like 4 times in the past 2 weeks.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I was going to ask, so when you made baked goods in the past, have you ever put glitter in them? Food safe glitter?
I haven't. I have not. I'm trying to think of even when we like go all out. Occasionally, my sister once had us all decorate cookies for Christmas that were shaped like sweaters, but I don't even think we had glitter then. We had sprinkles and stuff.
Yeah, I've done sprinkles, but I don't think I've ever done, maybe like gold leaf too, but I've never done glitter.
Yeah.
Okay. We have votes for glitter.
Glitter is the winner here. We're going to see where it goes.
You pour glitter into your batter.
Pour.
Yeah. You mix your ingredients carefully. Your cake is looking very sparkly, perfect for a uniman. Okay. You cook your cake. It's finished. You made a glitter cake. It's so sparkly. Do we want to bin it? No. You like your cake the way it is. Yes. You give the uniman a slice of glitter cake. I'm a little bit scared.
I know, me too.
The uniman looks impressed. What a magnificent cake! Oh, it sparkles like the sun. He enthusiastically takes a bite, only to start coughing it out again as soon as the glitter hits the back of his throat. Is this even safe to eat? He demands. You probably should have looked into that more thoroughly. He storms out. Oh no. It's okay.
Uh-oh.
You know, so you win some, you lose some. This is okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
he was a particularly haughty guest.
He was a little bit, maybe too picky. Well, this looks like a very cute ghost. I think it's a boo that gives it away. Just in case you didn't know. Yeah, a ghost approaches the counter. He's holding a sign that says boo. You take that to mean he wants a spooky cake. All right, that's it. No other ingredients. How do you make cake for a ghost? You can make it first and then kill it afterwards to get the ghost of a cake? Or use a ghost cake mix you found in a pantry. What method do you use? Oh, that's funny. Make from packet or make it and kill.
I mean, I want to know what make and kill means. I really, really do.
I know. Yeah,
I'm so curious.
We want to make it from scratch, right?
Yeah, this is a midnight bakery. We have to make it from scratch. We cannot start from a mix.
Yeah, this isn't like, pre-killed cake mix. This is freshly killed cake.
Yeah.
You decide to make it the good old-fashioned way. All right. Your cake is nearly done. Now you just need to decide how to kill it once it's finished. Hammer or flamethrower, Chrissy?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I desperately want to use the flamethrower, but will that, toast? Burn it to a crisp?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I still vote flamethrower.
You vote flamethrower? Okay.
Yeah.
David says artisanal dead cake. Yes, roasted ghost cake. Yeah. Maybe the flamethrower, there's I had it for the first time. I believe it was last year when I was in Elko, Nevada. I had Basque cheesecake for the first time, which I guess is do you know of Basque cheesecake?
No.
I guess it has like a very either dark brown or black exterior that comes from the extra caramelization. So maybe that's what we're doing here. We're giving it some extra toasty flame throwing vibes.
Sounds good to me.
You're not sure why your aunt keeps a flamethrower. Oops, Carol. Welcome in 78 half sachet. Thanks for being here. You're not sure why your aunt keeps a flamethrower in her bakery, but you've always wanted to use one of these. Whoosh. Yeah, maybe it's what are they called? Not a flamethrower, but a blow. Is it a blowtorch or the little? Yeah. I've always wanted one of those for creme brulee or searing tuna.
I was just remembering recently that I don't know why we had one when I was a kid, but we had some sort of blowtorch, and I just have a memory of my dad using it to take the skins off tomatoes.
Oh, interesting.
You just use the blowtorch and then the skins will come off.
Yeah.
Just like if you were to boil a tomato to get the skin to come off.
I know you can do that with some chili peppers. Some people will, if you have a gas stove especially, you can put your poblano peppers and then take the skin off. Okay, so the cake is burnt to a crisp. You're able to grab its shimmering ghost. We did it.
Shimmering. I'm glad it's shimmering.
It's finished. You made a slightly singed ghost cake. It's still smoking a little. All right, I hope they like our flame-throwed cake.
Yeah, me too.
You give the ghost a slice of slightly singed ghost cake. So cute. Ghost looks at the cake and then back at you. And then back at the cake. It started smoking again. He seems unhappy. And he starts haunting the bakery. He's still sulking.
Wow.
When your next customer arrives, the frog croaks anxiously.
I was about to say, we still have a frog, so
you can send something.
Now we have a ghost too. That sets the mood for the midnight bakery. We have to have some haunting.
That's true. Yeah, we have an upset frog and a ghost haunting us now. And what is this? A strange being
universe.
fills the bakery. Cower before me, mere mortal. For I am Xagaroth, destroyer of worlds. You ask him if you'd like a cake. That's a reasonable response, you know.
Yeah.
He scoffs at you. No human food could ever possibly satiate me. Let us have a competition. Oh, like Great British Bake Off, but like Midnight Bakery.
We're about to have a bake off with her like spooky bean.
If you, puny being, could create a dish to satisfy me, I will spare you and your insignificant world. Oh no, Chrissy.
Okay.
I didn't think we'd be baking for the fate of the world. I thought we'd just be...
I mean, it is fun or death, so...
Yes, the only two options that matter. You find a compartment at the back of the pantry dedicated to excessively powerful invaders from other worlds. I'm glad she has that ready. She is prepared. Our aunt is ready.
Aunt Kay really has it for us.
There are 2 types of cake bases to choose from, light or dark. Which do you choose? Interesting.
Oh, no.
Is this like vanilla or chocolate, except...
Light or dark?
Yeah. Do we want light to like symbolize like, I don't know, like goodness and like hope? Or do we want like dark for like flavor? I don't know. I'm thinking like chocolate.
I mean, but it's also, it's like, are we appealing to the light side of this creature or the dark side, you know? Do we want to inspire lightness or do we need to appease the darkness? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, this is hard. I think this is the hardest one yet because it's not like
it really
a flavor. This is like a metaphorical question. David Wizard says that Tao Te Ching tells us that darkness within darkness is the gateway to all understanding. Is that true? I love that.
So do we appeal to the darkness with the darkness?
You know what?
I'm into it. Let's go for it.
Let's do it. It's in the first stanza. Thank you for sharing that. I've never looked into that. You choose a dark base.
Okay.
I mean, and usually, when you think of like the dark meat of chicken, like usually maybe there's more flavor.
Yeah, right.
The ghost is still sulking. He's hanging upside down from the ceiling and watching you judgmentally. Okay, I'm sorry, ghost.
Oh, great. Judgmental ghost.
I know. You can pick accent ingredients for your cake. Your decision will literally shape the fate of the world. No pressure.
Oh, no.
Hello, Angry Ostrich. How are you doing? Sad ghost. I know. We made an artisanally flamethrowered cake. I don't know the past tense of to flamethrow.
I don't know either.
Should we add light, airy ingredients or add dark, heavy ingredients? Ooh, this is like flamethrown. Thank you, David Wizard. A flamethrown cake. Do we do dark with dark or do we dark with light to like balance it out?
I mean, I kind of want to balance it out. I think we should go light this time.
Yeah.
Since we've already done darkness.
Okay, let's do that. You add pure and light ingredients to hopefully warm your customer's heart, if they have a heart.
Yes.
Your cake is finished. You made a black and white layer cake. It combines both light and dark powers. That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's find out. Creme brulee cake. I would love a creme brulee cake. You give the great Xagaroth, destroyer of worlds, a slice of chocolate and vanilla layer cake. He looks down on your cake with disdain. He takes a cautious bite. So, you thought you could sway me with a cake like... Wait a minute. Is this a perfect balance of light and dark power? I've never seen anything like this. Not in any of the galaxies I've destroyed. He starts eating with gusto. This is delicious. Maybe I'll leave this planet alone for now. He leaves with a thoughtful expression. I think we did it. Welcome in, Jack.
We did.
I know. I wonder if we could have done this if we chose like a light base, but then added the dark ingredients or the dark accents.
Yeah, but now I am really curious if we just did one or the other. Like if we did all lightness or all darkness, what would have happened?
Yeah.
Let's see. It means we have to play it again, right?
After Xagaroth, destroyer of worlds, has left, you see a watery dawn rising over the horizon.
Oh.
You let out a long breath and slump over the counter. Your shift is finally over. Aunt Kay has a lot of explaining to do. Interesting people indeed. A frog croaks at you grumpily. you realize you'll probably have to talk to Aunt Kay about that too. Oh, and the ghost haunting the bakery. Okay, so we got a 14 out of 21. Huh.
Okay, so it wasn't a perfect game, which means the frog was maybe a mistake, as was the ghost.
Yeah, were you supposed to hammer the cake? Were you supposed to
hammer the cake? I guess we were supposed to hammer the heck out of it.
Yeah.
And then what made the frog? Oh, we put the green vial in.
Yeah. Oh, and we made the Uniman angry too. Chrissy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Uniman.
I'm wondering how you feel. Do you want to see if we can get a slightly better score? I think this game is pretty quick. I think we can do it one more time.
Okay, let's go for it.
Let's see if we can get a 21 out of 21. And if not, that's okay. We'll go straight into our interview after this. But I think this is a really fun, I want to call it like an appetizer, an amuse-bouche before our interview together.
Yeah, absolutely. And we maybe don't have to read everything this time. We can just skip through to make the choices.
All right, so here's our first customer. This is the witch again. So we remember them. We're going to make this Black Forest Gâteau.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Do you ever watch speedrunners? Are you familiar with speedrunners, Chrissy?
No, but I imagine they do speedruns.
Yes. So that's kind of what we're doing now, except I'm not speedrunning because I'm pausing to talk to you. But imagine a game like Super Mario World or a game that has like a start and a finish. Sometimes there are like glitches, especially for older games, or there are ways where you can beat the game in like 10 minutes that might otherwise take, 30 hours, but people have found ways to get faster and faster, and they try to set world records to get like progressively faster. Every year they do. There's Games Done Quick, awesome Games Done Quick, and they do charity for I forget who they raise money for. I think it changes every year, but I'm not sure. But they stream for several days, just different games, and people speed run them. Like different Twitch streamers or people who are known for speed running will play them, and people donate, and they raise like thousands and thousands of dollars. It's really cool. So I just thought of this.
That is cool.
Yes, AGDQ and SGDQ. Thank you, Angry Ostrich. So we are speed running this game a little bit. We're medium running the game. Okay. I'm a little bit sad because I really want to find out what happens if we put a miniature forest on top, but I don't think.
I mean, we could try it. We could make some different choices and see what happens.
Okay, let's see what happens. Too. I think it's okay if we don't.
Let's not worry about our score. Let's just
enjoy. Let's add. We added the trees to our cake. Where do we get the trees from? Your cake is finished. You made a literal forest gâteau. I know it's not right, but let's give them the literal forest gâteau. You hand the witch a slice of literal forest gâteau. She looks confused. This looks nice, Jay, but why are there little trees on it? Explain a joke to her. A black forest gâteau with actual trees. She laughs, but isn't a huge fan of the cake. The witch leaves, and the traveler enters. Okay, this is the one.
At least they were nice. Yeah.
Okay, fun or death. Okay, Chrissy, do we add the vial or don't add the vial this time? I think
we don't do it.
Okay, which makes me sad. It makes me really sad because I really want to. So we decide not to add the suspicious vial to our cake. Smart move.
Oh.
Okay, so now we should add something extra to make your cake a little bit more interesting. Cream cheese layer, vanilla icing.
We did vanilla last time. Do you want to do cream cheese this time?
Yeah. How do you feel about cream cheese in your cake?
I certainly don't mind. One of my favorite cakes is carrot cake, and I love cream cheese frosting because of that. So yeah, I'm good with it.
Cook your cake. It's finished. You made a gooey butter cake. Oh, that sounds really good. Is that a real thing?
That does sound really good.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're gonna have to Google. They have recipes.
Right. You hand the traveler a slice of gooey butter cake. The traveler grins. Wow, that looks delicious. This will keep me going for a few hours longer. Thank you. Okay.
Huh?
No
frog.
No cake of fun or death. I'm a little bit sad about that.
That it would not be nearly as fun a game if they hadn't given us the cake of fun or death at the very beginning.
I'm glad we saw that first time around. It is kind of fun to play this again, though, and see the other options. Okay, here is our vampire. He wants something red and fun to satiate his appetite tonight. Okay, so...
Are we going to go jam or blood?
Oh, yeah. Or should we make... Okay, well, first, do we make it a fun shape or a boring shape?
Fun. He wants a fun fun cake. Right?
Okay. All right.
I mean, I don't know. I still want to make a Swiss roll.
I know. Yeah. Do you think we should just? Oh, I'm worried if we give him a jam cake because he said he wants to be satiated tonight. What if he goes off and starts like eating people?
Yeah, that's true.
Just give him a blood cake.
Okay, let's make the choice we know we're supposed to make, which is blood.
All right, we made a Swiss roll. Nope. Ooh, with animal blood. You hand the vampire a slice of your blood Swiss roll. A fun little cake. Thank you, Baker. He leaves with a huge grin. Okay, so he didn't leave and, terrorize neighboring villages.
Yeah. Hey, cat.
Oh, I like this cat. Oh, did anyone ever end up Googling cakes for cats? Please let us know what you discover.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
You quickly Google how to make one. You find some tuna in the back of the pantry. Should you add some? I mean, I think we have to.
Yeah, let's add the
Maybe
tuna.
we could add less.
But the question is the catnip. How much catnip do we do this time?
Okay, so as you're mixing the ingredients for your cake, you spot a bag of catnip. Add a pinch or pour it all in. I mean...
Let's see what happens with a pinch. I don't know.
Okay. John says there's
curious.
Definitely cakes for cats. John, what is in a cake for a cat? And okay, so A, what are cakes for cats and what's in them? And B, would you ever give your cats cakes for cats? Add a small pinch of catnip. You cook your cake. It's finished. You made a cat cake. Perfect.
Nice.
You give the cat cake. Tannhauser says they're okay as long as they do not contain any chocolate. Yeah, I know you can't give chocolate to dogs, but I didn't know about cats. Interesting. The cat purrs as he eats. He enjoys his cake so much, he even lets you pet him as a reward. Oh, we didn't get to pet the cat last time.
That's delightful.
Yeah. Oh, we got a recipe. John says this is one ingredient list for a tuna cake. Drained tuna, 2 tablespoons of flour, a pinch of shredded cheese. Interesting. 1 egg white, whole shrimp, optional garnish. That's really funny. Oh, I love that. I wonder what kind of cheese. Really Chocolate's not good for cats either, but it's more toxic to dogs. Okay. Yeah, I know about the dog part, but I just kind of imagine. I don't know. I try not to give pets too much human food.
Yeah.
Oh, here's our friend. Ooh. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I think either way we ask him, right? So...
Yeah, so let's just ask him up front. Let's be upfront about it.
Yeah, well, we'll try not to be suspicious.
Maybe he'll respond happily.
You ask him rather hesitantly if he's a unicorn. Nonsense, he cries. I'm a uniman. Okay, so same thing as before. Either way, he'll be kind of upset.
Except we don't do the glitter this time.
Yes, okay. There's a lot of food coloring here, and there's also some glitter. All right, so let's do food coloring. Speaking of food coloring and unicorn/uniman baked goods, when I was in graduate school doing my master's degree, I made unicorn poop cookies one year. So that was, I think it was sugar cookie dough, but then I did the different rainbow colors. So there are 7 different sugar cookie doughs in front of me, and then you mix them together and made them into a little swirl. Or little logs. It was a lot of fun. A lot of food coloring.
That sounds fantastic.
Okay, so this is great. We have another recipe for a cat cake thank you, 78 half sachet. Liver pate and shrimp cake. 1 bowl of dry food, a package of liver pate, some sheets of ham, wet food, shrimp, an egg yolk, and cat treats.
Okay.
If I had
does sound like all things the cat would like.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. All right, let's do food coloring. Yeah, the food coloring to your cake. So yeah, question for people in chat. Would you now that you know that cat cakes exist, would you make something like this for your cat? You mix your ingredients carefully now to decide. Do you put your colors on the outside or the inside of your cake? There's not a both option, which I find is interesting.
No. I think we do outside because we want to impress when we bring it out, right?
That's true.
Because otherwise, if it's covered in something boring, will the Uniman think that we didn't do the majestic?
I know they're pretty picky. Angry Ostrich said, my cat can just eat his cheese raw. The Geech said, no, because it would take hours, and then she wouldn't eat it. Oh, welcome in, Carnita Crossing. Thanks so much for joining us. They write, my cat loves whipped cream. He runs when he hears it. That's all the human food he gets. Maria. Thank you, Maria. John said, depends. One of my cats are very picky, so I'm not sure if she would even eat it. You can make it for your non-picky cat. David Wizard writes, are these cat cake recipes or just cat smorgasbords? Can you have both? Can you have a cat smorgasbord cake?
Yeah, or like a cat charcuterie, I think is the next.
Yeah. Have you heard of barcuterie boards? So they have them for dogs that are called barcuterie, which I think is funny. Meow cooterie. Cat cooterie. There you go. That's a thing on a vet chart. My cat has food motivated. That's really funny, Angry Ostrich. Okay, so I think we said inside, right? Or no, outside.
No, I think we said outside.
Okay,
yeah.
outside.
Let's try outside.
You decide to put the color on full display. You cook your cake. It's finished. You made a confetti cake. It's wonderfully colorful. Nice. All right, let's see if this is better. Just John, I'm also food motivated. That's funny. You give the Uniman a slice of confetti cake. The Uniman applauds. Wonderful, truly a manifestation of the hearts of Unimen everywhere. He gives you a tip before leaving. Chrissy, we made money.
Wow, we made money tonight.
We did it.
That's great.
Oh, here's this. Okay.
Hey, it's our cute ghost.
This is really my favorite. I love this one so much. A ghost approaches the counter. He wants a spooky cake. All right. Spooky. How do you make a cake for a ghost? I mean, this is just too funny. So we can make it first and then kill it afterwards. All right, so...
I mean, I still think we gotta make it first and kill it afterwards. We should not use the mix.
Yeah, I think so too, right? Yeah, we can't use ghost cake mix.
Yeah, but then we should just use the hammer instead of the flamethrower.
Angry Ostrich tells John you can probably get that added to your medical cart. You have ghost cake just sitting around your pantry. Dang. Yeah, the Keej, I don't know how long you've been here, but we are taking over our aunt's bakery for the night, for midnight. And we're cooking for all of our spooky customers. So our aunt has a lot of really weird things laying around.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to make and then kill this cake. You decide to make it the old-fashioned way, of course, right? Old-fashioned ghost cake. The cake is nearly done. Now you just need to decide how to kill it once it's finished.
Hammer.
All right, hammer time.
Flamethrower was fun when we did it, but hammer this time.
You decide to beat it to death with a hammer. The cake quickly turns into a pulp, but you're able to grab the shimmering outline of its ghost.
Nice.
The Geach writes, lol, my aunt's pantry. You'd probably have to check it. To inspire back in 1987, but it's still good, she says. I know.
I mean, in the case of ghost mix, does it matter when it expired? Because isn't that the point?
That's true.
It's expired.
My parents also kept like a lot of like very, very old things in their pantries. Like I remember like in our second house before they sold it, I think we probably had things that were, like 20, 25 years old, like, cake mixes or like shake and bake. Does anyone shake and bake anymore? I remember
man, shake and bake.
That's like
I remember so fondly. Shake and bake was delicious.
Yeah, it's like a 90s thing. When did shake and bake like reach its prime? But I definitely remember shake and bake and Hamburger Helper growing up. You made a homemade ghost cake. All right.
Okay, ghost. Don't be mad.
I know, it's artisanal. This time you hammered it to death. You give the ghost a slice of homemade ghost cake. The ghost loves the cake.
Oh, good. Okay.
He draws something on the back of his booth sign. It's a heart. He floats happily out of the bakery. Rio girl, hello. Shake and bake might go back to the 70s. Okay, yeah. I guess I don't know the history of shake and bake, but did you grow up with it? I'm curious. Not having to date yourself, but I'm just wondering if you had shake and bake when you were growing up.
Yeah, we definitely. I remember helping with the shake and bake because it's so fun to make.
Yeah, you shake and then you bake.
Shake it. Yeah. I still use that method with lots of foods too. Yeah. I mean, it's just put it in a bag with a mix of stuff and then shake. So
yes, your next customer arrives. Oh, Chrissy, I love that. Instead of haunting us, now we have a little heart sign.
And can't you just imagine it? The little heart on the back of the boot, like one side boo, one side heart. I love it. Everything about it.
Yes. Oh, okay. All right.
Oh,
here we go. A strange being fills the bakery. Cower before me, mere mortal, for I am Zaggaroth, destroyer of worlds. You ask him if he'd like a cake. I mean, I love this so much, how you're just like unperturbed. You know, he says he's a destroyer of
Yeah.
worlds. You're just like, great, would you like a cake?
I mean, that's customer service for you.
Yes.
You just get all types of people and you have to respond to them the same.
I know, we should get an extra point for this. No human food
Yeah.
could ever possibly satiate me. Let us have a competition. If you, puny being, could create a dish to satisfy me, I'll spare you and your insignificant world. Okay,
Cool.
so here's a question for us, right? Do we do dark and light again? I'm a little bit scared. Do we?
Or do we swap them? Do we still do both, but we do like light and then dark?
Yeah,
See what comes up.
I know. Yeah, what do we do? And again, we love that our aunt has a compartment dedicated to making things for excessively powerful invaders from other worlds.
Yeah.
Okay, light or dark? Which do you choose? Let's let our chat pick. So last time we did a dark cake. Should we do a light cake this time? And then I guess then the question is, right, do we keep it all light or do we mix it again? I mean, maybe I should just do light just because it's different. And then really the question is, do we do half and half? You choose a light base.
Okay.
You can pick accent ingredients for your cake. Your decision will literally shape the fate of the world. No pressure. Add light, airy ingredients or add dark, heavy ingredients. Oh.
I mean, I think we should try for the balance in the opposite way and see what happens. I wonder if you just pick opposites each time, will you always get it was the perfect balance? Or did we just stumble upon the exact right?
Yeah, like did it have to be a dark cake with light, airy ingredients? And then I feel like if I ever did this game again, I would want to find out what happens if you just do one, probably.
Yeah.
The end of the world.
Like just dark or light. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do... Okay, wait, we just picked light. Okay, so now we have to do dark, heavy ingredients. I want to make sure I didn't mess it up.
Yeah, I know.
You add deep and dark ingredients to add power to your cake.
Okay.
Okay. Your cake is finished. You made a black and white layer cake. It combines both light and dark powers. All right.
Okay. So we might have just made the same cake with different...
You give the great Zaggaroth, destroyer of worlds, a slice of chocolate and vanilla layer cake. He looks down on your cake with disdain. Again. Takes a cautious bite. So you thought you could swim with a cake like... Wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
Is this a perfect balance of light and dark power? I've never seen anything like this. Not in any of the galaxies I've destroyed. He starts eating with gusto. This is delicious. Maybe I'll leave this planet alone. Okay, so I think maybe as long as you balance both of them, you get the same outcome, which is really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leaves with a thoughtful expression. Okay, after Zaggaroth, destroyer of worlds, has left, you see a watery dawn rising over the horizon. Okay, our shift is over. Let's see what scored. 19 out of 21.
Yay!
So where do you... So I guess we made a literal forest cake this time.
Oh yeah, that's probably the only mistake.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a mistake. Yeah. I think it was a good choice.
I think so too. So Chrissy...
The witch just didn't get the joke.
Yeah, I think let's give ourselves... I think we got a 21 out of 21. We'll take both games.
Yeah.
We did it. Thank you for playing. This is so for everyone in chat, this is our first time doing a browser-based game on stream. Usually we do games on Steam, like games that you purchase. This is a free game, which is great. I love that people make things that are open source, so you can find this online and play it yourself if you want. If you just Google the Midnight Bakery, you can find this and do a playthrough of it. So
yeah.
All right, Chrissy, I am going to move us back to our just chatting screens. That's the two of us on stream. I think we should take like a 5-minute break. So this is where people are encouraged, to get water, to stand up and stretch, you included. And then we'll come back, and this is where we get to talk one-on-one about all the great work that you do at Wisconsin Humanities, as well as I also want to ask you about Folkwise and other fun things. So the Geechas, if you're food motivated, grab a snack. Yes, grab a snack.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to take our break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. See you all very soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am back here with Chrissy Widmayer from Wisconsin Humanities. Thanks for joining us. If you've been with us since the beginning, we just finished 2 run-throughs of the Midnight Bakery, which was a lot of fun. Chrissy and I were just talking about the options for that during our break. And if you just joined us, thanks for being here. This is a section of our stream where we get to know our featured guest a little bit better. And I'm really, really excited to talk to Chrissy because I love the work that she does at Wisconsin Humanities. She does great work with Folkwise. I think a lot of you must also have questions for her as we chat. So please, again, feel free to share any comments or questions you might have as we get our conversation started. So, Chrissy, I guess something I like to ask people who are joining us from other humanities councils is, what got you there? I guess, what choices in your life, like what paths have you taken that got you all the way from folklore to to humanities to working at a public humanities council? Because I think when I was 5 years old, I wanted to be a truck driver when I grew up. I don't think anyone, when they're 5, they say, I want to be working at a humanities council, which unless maybe your parent works at one, you might know. But how did you end up where you are today?
Yeah, it's a great question. When I was 5, I wanted to be an artist, and then eventually I wanted to be a teacher. And my life did take me in some of those directions, right? So my journey here, honestly, is in part through folklore. So to back up a little bit, I got my MFA in creative writing at George Mason University, where I also walked into my first ever folklore class. And before this, I had been I was a creative nonfiction writer. So I was already doing work where I was working, I was writing memoir, I was writing other people's stories, like true to life stories. And when I found folklore, it felt like the opportunity to be able to study culture, study people, and use their voices to tell those stories and share those stories. So that was really important to me when I found folklore. And of course, I was doing another degree in creative writing, so I finished that degree and then went off to pursue my degree in folklore. That's when I moved to Wisconsin too. So I came to Wisconsin to do my PhD in folklore studies, and I studied along the way a lot of different things, but ended up focusing on foodways, which are any sort of traditional practices surrounding food, and I just happened to wrap up my dissertation when this job was available. So honestly, I started to look into the public humanities somewhere during my time at the University of Wisconsin-Madison doing my PhD. And part of that is because when you are in academia for a long time, even if you love teaching like I did, which I really did love teaching, you recognize that there's a lot of unsustainable things about working in academia in terms of working conditions and the fact that it is a particularly privileged space. There's lots of stuff that means some people can't access that space, and the things you do there won't reach as many people. And one of the great things about the University of Wisconsin is that they have this thing called the Wisconsin idea, which is the boundary of the university is the boundaries of the state, that the university has an obligation to reach out beyond the university to the communities around Wisconsin. And so that was really important to me in the work that I was doing, and the folklore program that I was in. Everyone I was working with was doing public folklore, which is the public humanities. They were working with groups, museums, organizations, nonprofits who were doing folklore work and specifically for a public audience. So I got to see a lot of that in practice. And even though I had been mainly doing academic folklore before I got here, I recognized the ways that we could reach beyond and reach different people by doing work publicly. And so for me, it was always important to think about what's the public impact of the work that I'm doing. So eventually it just became obvious to me that there was a whole world outside of academia that I hadn't explored. And also when you're in academia for too long, you start to not see it as the real world. So I wanted to get into the real world and work with real people. So one of the cool things I had the opportunity to do is I got a public humanities fellowship, a Mellon Public Humanities Fellowship at UW-Madison, which allowed me to spend 9 months working for a nonprofit. And I worked for the Wisconsin Academy of Sciences, Arts, and Letters, which they work in the sciences, the arts, and the letters all around the state. And they were particularly celebrating their 150th anniversary. And I was there as their unquote historical communication specialist. So basically, I did a bunch of research on their history. I did oral histories with board members and former executive directors, and got to put together a lot of stuff about what it meant to be part of this particular nonprofit and scholarly organization throughout the years. And it was a really great opportunity to learn a lot about Wisconsin and a lot about nonprofits and a lot about the world and what you can do outside of academia with academic skills. And honestly, that's the job that got me into the public humanities. And honestly, it's also my supervisor there referred me for this position. So right when I was wrapping up, this opportunity to work at Wisconsin Humanities came open, and it seemed too good to be true. It was coinciding perfectly, and I feel incredibly lucky and blessed to have gotten into this role because it's just the coolest job ever. I didn't know that it would be the perfect job for me. You're right about that. I never would have dreamed of working for a state humanities council, and in this particular project, this is a new and exciting thing, which I can talk more about what community powered is, but I didn't know that I would love it as much as I did until I started, and it has just been fantastic. I highly recommend figuring out what your state humanities council is doing if you don't know already, and getting involved because it's really cool stuff. Engaging with communities directly in the humanities, which is something I think a lot of academics dream of being able to do, and humanities councils get to do it. So
yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. We're definitely going to talk about community powered in just a moment. But part of why I like this little mini series, that we're doing, where we get to interview and talk to other state humanities council staff, is that not everyone realizes that their state might have one. And so it's always fun, especially for our friends who live elsewhere, who aren't in Nevada or aren't in Wisconsin, to check out what your humanities council might be up to. And they're all very different. Some are very professional development oriented. Some do a lot of like teacher workshops. Some are more like grant giving organizations. But either way, they're making a big impact in the states. So thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
that, Chrissy. Let's chat about community powered. I think this is so cool because, we don't have something like this in Nevada, but I love the idea of what you're doing. And I feel like if there are other council staff watching, maybe they can get inspired too. Like, I'm certainly inspired by the work you're doing. But do you want to chat about community powered and maybe how it got started and what you do and some upcoming things?
Yeah. So Community Powered is a really cool initiative of Wisconsin Humanities, and we sort of think of it as a community resilience initiative. And the point is to help communities get the tools to be able to rely on their stories, their histories, and in facing some of their challenges as a way to inspire projects to do good work in those communities that the community has driven, not that an institution has come in and said, we're going to do this project. We want it to be something that the community is excited about and interested in, and that they will carry forward as well. So we developed this project. It started, in fact, my co-director of the project, Arijit Sen, who is a professor of architecture and urban studies at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. He, for several years, did a field school. It's called the Field School, Buildings, Landscapes, Cultures Field School in Milwaukee, where he worked in neighborhoods doing this kind of work. And over the years, it grew a lot and changed a lot, but he eventually started focusing on how communities can determine for themselves what they need. So rather than going into a community and saying, here's what you need, we're going to do this, it started from the community and built outwards. And Wisconsin Humanities had funded his field school through the grant program for several years. And eventually, when opportunity came up to start some new programming, this was a dream that Dina Wartzel, who's the director of Wisconsin Humanities, and Arijit had together to think, how could we scale this up? Could we do this around the state? Really inspired by the work that Arijit was already doing in Milwaukee. So they started dreaming up this initiative with the idea that we'd be able to work closely in different communities by hiring young humanities professionals to go into those places and be project coordinators. And we wanted those people to have pre-existing connection to those communities. So I got brought on the project as sort of the main person to run it. And we started the process of building this program out. And in our first year, which happened just wrapped up this May, so we were June to May this past year, we piloted this in 4 communities around the state. So we were in Racine, Forest County, Pottawatomie, Appleton, and Spooner. And these are communities with varying geographic locations, varying populations, and different sort of ethnic groups and lots of different people who are parts of those communities. And so we were really able to see how this worked in different places. So we then hired a young humanities professional who we partnered with a local library. And the library, we had one librarian become the local mentor for that space. And they helped to connect the person who was doing this work as our project coordinator to the community, because they were already in libraries are a very important sort of center of community that allow lots of people to participate in that community in different ways. And so we took advantage of the library being a center in these communities as a place where we could work with the community together. And so we spent the first 6 months of the project just getting to know the community. We started by training our project coordinators and their local mentors in humanities and place-based methods. So we built a toolkit, things like asset mapping and oral history interviewing and history harvests, all these sorts of methods that you can use in the humanities to use in community programming as not only a way to get to know the community, but also to collect some stories and some history and think about how that applied to the future. And then we used all that work getting to know the community as the basis to develop a project that we would co-lead with the community, and that the community would then take over at the end of the pilot year. So we spent a year doing really cool things, and I can give some examples of the different projects in the communities. I did see that the Geach has asked, what's the term community mean here? A group defined by geographical structure or by another feature. I think that's a great question. Yeah. And honestly, the way we used it is to any of those things. I mean, there's lots of ways you can think of community. It can be bounded by a geography, but it also can be bounded by affinity. It can be bounded by race. It can be bounded by ethnicity or something else. What we ended up doing was seeing what communities we had access to. So for instance, our project coordinator in Racine happened to already be a part of the LGBTQ community in Racine. So their project was actually in the LGBTQ community. And what they did for their project in the end was they built a LGBTQ asset map, because something that they noticed in that community was that people didn't recognize the resources that already existed there. They didn't see themselves in Racine. And so our project coordinator there decided, how can we make that visible? Let's start a visibility campaign and let's map it to show where the resources exist and where safe places are. And so they worked with the LGBTQ Center of Southeast Wisconsin to work together to map that project and decide what places could be put on that list of resources and on that map. So an asset map, thank you for asking, I should explain, is a mapping tool that you use to look at what assets exist in your community. So that can be places that the community sees as really valuable, whether they are formal resources or not. They can be places that that resources that are formal resources exist. They could also be informal spaces that just happen to be really important, celebratory or gathering spaces. And then you also look at places that, you can do something that's like looking at strengths and weaknesses. You can look at the places that are assets, but also the places that might be threats to the community. There's lots of ways to do this. We focus a lot on assets because an asset-based approach is focusing on the positive. And in this case, it was focusing on the positive to highlight the things that we don't see, people don't notice in Racine. So it's filling a gap in some ways.
Are these all available on your website? Like, so for instance, if the Geach wanted to see what was happening in Appleton or Racine, could they go on, Google community-powered Wisconsin Humanities and then find what they did?
Great question. We have some basics on our website, but we're working on launching a larger website this summer that's going to have more of what we did over the past year showcased there, including links to something like our asset map. So please watch that space. But we do have an Instagram, which is, I believe it's just Community Powered WI for Wisconsin is the handle. And you can go there and see some of what we've done over the past several months as well. And so, you should be able to soon. You will be able to see those things directly on our website. Yes.
That's really exciting.
Which is, I believe, communitypoweredwisconsin.org, but it's not available yet. We're still under construction.
No, thank you for sharing that, Chrissy. What are some other so you said that this past year is kind of a pilot, right? So are you planning
Yes.
for this upcoming year? Are you like stretching to other, cities and towns around Wisconsin, or what are your plans for community powered?
Great question. So we this pilot year we decided to go to 4 communities,
Hmm.
and we did this model where we had these project coordinators in place. Um, in the future, we hope to build on that basis. So we hope that each of these places that we started in will become a regional center for work in their area. And what we're going to do is, instead of training project coordinators, we hope to train community leaders. So we hope to go back to each of those regions and invite people who are, part of nonprofits, or librarians, or school teachers, or folks who are just interested and want to lead their community into something, to come and participate in our training and get that toolkit that we can provide them to develop projects that are community powered. Because the whole purpose of this is to focus on the process rather than the product. Even though I've just mentioned the products, one of the projects that came out of this, what is really important about it is that we're not focusing on what comes out in the end. It's the journey we take together to get to it, to develop that project, that is probably the most important thing, because that's about building community, that's about building connections, and that's about bringing people together. And so we want folks who may be doing work in their communities to think about how they can bring the community in, not only at the beginning stages of the process to base that project in the community, but also how they can activate the community throughout the project and get more people excited, more people interested, and more people involved. So those are sort of what our methods allow us to do. And thinking about our process, it allows us to do more than just develop projects. It's about building connections and making sure that we're approaching community members and other people in our community with respect, and seeing where that takes us. So the coolest thing about community powered is that it allows you to take that journey without having an end goal in mind. I mean, if you're applying for a grant, you need to have the end goal in mind. This gave us the opportunity to do some exploration and some experimentation and figure out what worked, which was really, really fun. So that's the process we hope to teach in these communities, as a way to provide this toolkit for different communities to build on this basis of community-driven work, and making sure that community members are involved in the decisions for how their community can be improved, and these projects can come about.
Do you feel like your background in folklore has shaped how you have approached, working with community powered? Like, what what folklore elements are a part of this?
That's also a wonderful question. Part of the coolest thing about being a folklorist, and for those of you who haven't heard that term before, folklore is the study of informal traditional culture. So that's Lynn McNeil's definition. I'll make sure to
I'll cite it.
cite my source. Yeah. And informal traditional culture is pretty much the sorts of things that we practice together that don't come from an institution, but they're things that, we do just as part of a cultural group, or a group we're part of. And so one of the coolest things about being a folklorist is that I feel like I trained in a way to see the world that is about looking around and respecting people's different approaches to their space, different connections to people, their different practices, and seeing those with curiosity and openness, instead of approaching them with any preconceived notions. Folklore really allows you to look around the world and experience it in a way that you're open to all of it and you're excited by all of it. That's at least how I feel about it. I always tried, when I was teaching folklore, to teach my students that way of looking at the world. I didn't care if they learned the terms. I didn't care if they understood how to do ethnography. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted them to see the world with the lens of a folklorist. And so that has just informed the way I run this project from the beginning, because it's that approach with, curiosity, that approach with respect, and it's recognizing that people, on the ground people, have knowledge and expertise that we respect and honor in the way that we work. And that was really important in this, when we're trying to bring community members into these spaces and have conversations. You have to treat those people with respect. You have to respect their stories and listen to them. And, a big part of our process is deep listening. And that's something that for me came from my folklore training, but I think it comes from a lot of the humanities. So that's one piece. And then the other piece is I literally studied how groups make connections. My dissertation work looked at how foodways become performances of intimacy, or how we create relationships with one another in small groups. And so obviously that informed everything that we did here when we were trying to reach new people and engage in communities. I had a whole background of experience about how to create relationships that just came out of the research I was able to do for my dissertation. So, and in my dissertation, I looked mostly at my own family, and I also looked at some community groups. But it was nice to be able to see some of those ideas come out in how I helped guide some of our project coordinators into their community work, because it applies across the board in all sorts of communities. The principles of relationships and connection and intimacy are all a really important piece of any sort of community work that you do. They're going to be across the board the same. So, yeah.
I love that. I feel like Wisconsin Humanities and Community Power, they're just so lucky to have you. As you said, you sort of get kind of the position open at the right time, because I love how passionate you are. I feel like your passion just really shines through for what you're doing, for the place in which you live, and for the people you're working with. And thank you for sharing that with us. So yeah, the Geach has a question. Did your studies in foodways and creating community through food look into intuitive eating at all? Interesting.
It did not, but that's a very interesting idea.
Yeah.
Because intuitive eating is, okay, the way I interpreted intuitive eating, and tell me if I'm wrong, is the idea of eating what, okay, I'm not going to be able to define it right. How do you think of intuitive eating, Kathleen?
Yeah, and the Geach, if you want to share what you mean here too by intuitive eating, I guess my understanding, my intuition into intuitive eating, which could be totally wrong, is just maybe less the community, but just as a personal view, like what I think is like my body needs, or what is like right for me. Maybe like stopping when I'm like full or something, or
that's exactly. I was trying to think of how to say that. What's right for you?
Yeah, like if you have scurvy, maybe realizing, oh, I need more vitamin C. Like just like your body, like somehow recognizing like what it needs. Body. Yeah, your gut. Is that what intuitive eating is? Because that would be.
That's the way that I'm thinking of it too. So yeah, I didn't look deeply into that at all. Most of what I looked at was food traditions, which in my own family, I was looking at ethnic traditions. So,
here we go. So I'll read this out loud.
Yeah.
So the Geach writes, thank you for sharing. This is a great question. I love this. An idea. So an idea in intuitive eating is that food serves more purposes than just nutrition or fullness, but also emotional or relationship roles. For example, if you're restricting food, you might not go to a party with people. But with intuitive eating, you might go to the party recognizing that food is also a vehicle for building relationships. Oh, that's so interesting.
I love that idea. I like the idea of thinking that how building relationships builds into your personal intuitive eating, because it absolutely is. Like, food is one of those central ways we all have to eat, and we often do it socially. And a lot of our social interaction happens around food. So intuitive eating has to be informed by relationships, as you're saying here, like making choices based on, how your body feels in that moment, the roles, and all of that makes a lot of sense to me. I think that this as a principle would be really interesting to explore, because the other thing about intuitive eating is that not everybody practices it, right? So who chooses to practice intuitive eating, and then how does that affect their relationships could be a really interesting question.
Yeah. Chrissy, I know, so you've alluded to it. I guess I'll just ask you straight out, and I know the answer to this, but the people in chat might not know, what was your dissertation about? So you said you wrote about your family, but what specific foodway or tradition did you examine?
Yeah. So I looked at, the majority of my dissertation looked at my family's Chaldean food traditions. So Chaldean is Iraqi Catholic, and that in the United States it's considered an ethnic group, but in like the Middle East it would be considered a religion, Chaldean Catholic. So I grew up in this family that was sort of connected to but disconnected from our Chaldean heritage, and the one thing we did was practice the foodways. So every year at Christmas we'd make a dish called kalecha, which is a Christmas cookie. It's sort of a half moon shaped crimped close cookie with walnuts and sugar inside, or sometimes dates inside. They're delicious, fantastic. It uses like a spice dough that I think is delicious too. So we make these every year. Like as long as I can remember, we've made kalecha. And one of the things I want to know is, what does that mean to other people in my family? Because for me, it was a connection to my ethnicity. It was a connection to my grandmother who died before I was born. It was a connection to this piece of my past. But I found out through my dissertation research that that's not true for most of my family. So what did it mean to them? And what I settled on is what I've been talking about here. For them, it's a way to create relationships with one another and with other members of our family and keep that connection. So whereas for me, it was a connection to ethnicity, and I felt like I was performing an identity when I made this cookie every year. For them, it was more about being there for each other, because we make 33 dozen cookies in assembly line. So it's an incredibly labor-intensive task. So for some people, it was like, I just want to do the work and be there to do the work. For other people, it was about, this is a side of a family we don't see all the time. This is one of the ways we see them every year, and so that was really interesting to me. And that was just one section of my dissertation work. I also looked at how that particular tradition of making kalecha worked in smaller family groups, like this group of my aunt and her daughter and her cousin, who is not Chaldean, what it meant to them to get together and make this same Christmas cookie every year. And that had a lot more to do with connecting to one another, connecting to ancestors and women in the line of our heritage and things like that. And then I also worked with a community group called Sweet Potato Comfort Pie. They're actually associated with the Minnesota Humanities Center, the State Humanities Council there. Rose McGee is the person who started that organization. And what they do is they gift and make pies as a process of racial justice and healing. And so one of their big events is they host a Martin Luther King Day event where they make the number of pies that Dr. King would be turning that year. And then they gift those pies to people in their community as recognition for their hard work, or as recognition of grief or sadness that's happening, or illness that's happening, as a way of solace. And so what the food becomes in that space is both a thing that makes the discussions around racial justice palatable, but also something that supports and builds community just by being a vehicle for it. So when you say a vehicle for making connections, food is definitely a vehicle for making connections. And so that's really what I looked at. It sounds weird to put those things together, but I was sort of zooming out from myself to look at how this worked in different groups with different relationships to me as a person doing the field work, as well as different relationships to each other. So
that's so cool, Chrissy. I have not read your dissertation, so I knew like the topics, but I didn't know about the sweet potato comfort pie part. And I love that, Real Girl. Thank you so much. So she says that I guess she's familiar with sweet potato comfort pie. She worked with Rose at the Minnesota Humanities Center. That's amazing. What a fun connection. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We have a question. This is not a dumb question. There are no dumb questions. We are looking at all questions through the lens of a folklorist and a humanist, I suppose. So John writes, how, this goes back to the game we played earlier. How would you make a ghost cake, Chrissy? And what would you use to ghostify it? I like ghostify as a polite way of saying, to murder this cake, to make it a ghost. How would you use to ghostify your ghost cake?
I mean, that's really interesting, because here's the thing with ghosts. I'm going to get into such a folklore-y answer
Please
here.
do.
It all has to do with belief, right?
Okay.
So whether you believe in ghosts is going to influence how you ghostify something, how you make a ghost cake. And the first thing I thought of was actually a part of my dissertation. When I talked about making the dough for kalecha, and the way that we make that, and the women in my family talk about that, is putting love into the dough. That what you're doing is you're thinking of all the women who came before you, all the women that are coming after you, all the people who are going to eat this food. And when you're kneading, you're actually calling all of that into the dough. And then there's also a process of blessing the dough that is also putting that love and honor, reaching out to our deceased family members to bring that in, I guess, into discourse with the dough, if I want to go really academic. So I think about that as putting spirit into the dough. I mean, so for me, in my spiritual, I guess, world, it's like that. It's the bringing in and recalling the family, and that's a way of manifesting spirit into the dough. So that's my, I don't know if that's a cop-out answer. I don't know about needing to kill the cake or whatever, but like bringing the spirit into it is something that I think I think about doing, and how, you know, I make these particular heritage dishes. But, you know, I don't know. So what would I use to ghostify? If I were thinking about it in the way we did it for the Midnight Bakery, obviously I would do the flamethrower, and I don't know why that didn't work.
Well, you said one of your relatives has a flamethrower, right? Or a blowtorch?
Yeah, I mentioned that my dad had some sort of blowtorch when we were, I don't even know if it was like a kitchen blowtorch. I don't even know what it was, or I just have this memory of pulling it out to take peels off of tomatoes. So
yeah, so we would do that. And you know, it's funny because when I first chose this game to play with Chrissy, I mainly did it because I thought, well, you know, it had a lot of spooky characters, which I thought, well, it might kind of relate to her background in folklore a little bit. And then also I knew about, you know, her dissertation and her love of baking. So I thought, okay, these things will all kind of go together. But as you were talking about your answer, which was not a cop-out, I don't think, by the way, I think what you're saying is that you would make, this is too funny, I think you would make a community-powered ghost cake. You would, right? Because you're calling the spirits or the ghosts into the cake. You want the ghost to be involved. So I think
exactly, yes. I'll just say, one of my favorite lines, one of my favorite shows is Ted Lasso, and one of my favorite lines in Ted Lasso, it's in one of the, I think it might be in the first episode, is one character turns to Ted Lasso and says, "Do you believe in ghosts, Ted?" And Ted says, "I do, but it's really important to me that they believe in themselves." And that's exactly what this makes me think of.
That's really
and
funny.
I'm paraphrasing, that wasn't the exact quote, but you know, the idea of the ghosts having to be involved in making the cake is so true.
You want a community-powered ghost cake, which the geek says either sounds like a mass seance or a serial killer motivation. That's true. It's so funny. I was just watching Ted Lasso. I finished all the 3 seasons, but I was just rewatching parts of season 3 yesterday. So everything is coming together in this really spooky, nice, lovely way.
Yeah.
So Chrissy, I think I'm gonna back up a little bit. So yeah, I love that we explored some ghost cake vibes here. This is not related at all, but I wanted to ask you, and this is because I'm just curious, sort of about your background with Folkwise and games. So we're gonna sort of pivot to Folkwise a little bit here, but you know, feel free to continue asking, you know, Chrissy and I questions in chat. I would love to know more about, you know, what your role is at Folkwise, and also I guess your background with games in general. It could be board games, it could be video games, it could be, you know, tabletop games. I'd love to know about that. And it's totally okay if the answer is 0, or, you know, you play games every minute. You're playing a game right now on your phone and I can't see you.
Well, I'll start with Folkwise. So for those of you who don't know Folkwise, it's a project of WiseFolk Productions, LLC. And Folkwise is a Twitch streaming show that we do at least once a week on Tuesdays from, gosh, what is it in Eastern time? I think it's 7 to 11. In Central time, it's 6 to 10. You can watch Folkwise, and it's sort of set up similar to this show where we do gameplay and then we do an interview and then we kind of go back to gameplay. So I got started with Folkwise. Honestly, the interesting thing about Folkwise is that it came out of a group chat. During the pandemic, we were all talking about, the ironic thing is we were talking about Guy Fieri and Flavortown. That's what started this conversation. And somehow we all sort of started talking together, and it turned into this really supportive place. And one of the members of that group chat, Daisy Allstone, they said, "I have this idea. I want to start this educational media sort of company thing where we share folklore with, you know, in a fun way with everyone." It's like community access folklore. And so they brought that idea up, and we all sort of came together around it, and we started Folkwise. We started doing YouTube videos and stuff like that. And then eventually Dom came on and said, Dom was just like, "We got to do a Twitch show." And we started the Twitch show in, I think it was, I don't know, 6 or 7 months after we started Folkwise. And it was super exciting because we had a lot of people who were excited about the gaming piece of it, but then we were able to bring folklorists in where they could talk about the folklore in games while also playing that game. And then we would hear about their experiences and their research and share that with an audience that is both folklorists and more than folklorists, people who are just interested in folklore, fans of folklore, or games, or just us.
Yeah.
It was a community of lots of different people. And so it was really, really fun. And it's now become a community of its own. We have our own folklore. We have culture around what emojis to use when, and the inside jokes of that community are really big. So what I do for Folkwise now, I was a co-founder of it, but I have mainly stayed behind the scenes because I'm not a huge fan. I get really nervous doing stuff like this. And thankfully, Kathleen is really good at putting me at ease. So I don't appear on the show all that often, but I'm often being a sleuth, which means we're the person behind the scenes who's researching the person we're interviewing and helping write the questions so that we can bring really surprising questions that hit on like deep buried facts about their life into the interview. We recently just played a folklore feud game for our anniversary, and I did a lot of the background work putting together the survey for that and then tabulating the results. And then I was actually the judge behind the scenes who was making calls on answers. So, I do a lot of behind the scenes work for it, but it's a lot of fun. And what I really love about it is that it allows me to do something really creative with folklore that's also making it accessible to a wide community. And honestly, just making it really fun for all of us involved and for the people who come watch our show and participate in our community. So we have a Discord too, if anyone wants to participate, and you can find us on twitch.tv/Folkwise. So, but to answer the other part of your question, which was about my experience with gaming, I don't have a lot of experience with gaming. When I was a kid, I had a Game Boy, and my family bought me Pokemon, maybe my brother, and my brother's here, so he can maybe chime in.
Is it a younger or an older brother?
Pokemon. He's older. Okay. He's older. I have an older brother and an older sister. Shout out to my siblings. They're both fantastic. And they got me Pokemon, and I started playing. I knew nothing really about it. So much so that I didn't know you were supposed to catch Pokemon.
Oh, Chrissy.
So you get your starter Pokemon, right? And I had Bulbasaur was my starter Pokemon. And I played I don't know how many gyms, how far through the game with just one Pokemon. And then I don't know if he said it to me, someone said it to me. Did you know you're supposed to catch them? And I was like, what? And I had to go back and catch all these Pokemon that I hadn't caught before. And so, yeah, that was my first game. And eventually I started playing with guides. I think when I got Pokemon Yellow, it came with a guide on how to play the game. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much easier. But I don't have a brain that's very good at gaming. I have figured this out about myself. So I have now a Switch, and I have Pokemon, and I have Stardew Valley, and I have all these other games, and I'm just not very good at them. I still play them, but I don't know. I don't always understand what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's actually been great watching Twitch streams, being on Folkwise and watching someone play a game, because I'm like, oh, that's how you're supposed to do that. So it's been a lot of fun doing that. Yeah.
I think there's, really when it comes down to it, games are games, right? I think games are for people to have fun, either a solo game or with other people. It's not about winning or losing. Of course, we'd always like to win if possible, or have the most potentially positive outcome. But I think as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters, right? If you play The Sims, which I think you have played, or you played on Folkwise with Dom, you don't really win The Sims. Yeah. It kind of just keeps going.
Right.
So in that sense, those games are good.
I do like games like that. I tend to like puzzle games, or I play Wordle every day.
Yes.
I like word games. We play Scrabble. My family's a Scrabble household. I used to really like a lot of party games too, but now when we're ever together, we're trying to play some very complicated board game. I am not very good at those, because as soon as I feel kind of silly or wrong, I'm like, ooh, I'm not good at games. And then I kind of shut down. So it's not always as fun for me. And so I've learned to put up some boundaries about what I will play.
That's good. Yeah. I think,
but I like backgammon, cribbage, card games, except for euchre. I do not like euchre. I like lots of others. So, yeah.
Euchre is I feel like if you know what euchre is, it means you're either from the Midwest or you're from Vegas or something.
Yeah. There's weird pockets. There was a Texan pocket that I heard of, because I a friend of mine learned it in Texas, not in Michigan. And I was like, what? How? What?
Yeah, actually,
So,
question for
yeah.
the chat. If you're familiar with euchre, let us know. You don't have to say where you're from, but I'm just curious to see who knows what euchre is. I'm not gonna, I guess I could type it in chat, but just if we say euchre, do you know what it is? I feel like you can't let Wisconsin know that you don't like euchre. They'll kick you out. Oh no.
Well, here's the thing. I can play euchre. I just don't love the fact that that my partner relies on me. And so when I make bad plays, I feel really bad.
Oh.
So it's more about like how I destroy relationships playing euchre than euchre itself.
Okay, so we have a couple people know, but in this case, it's because Real Girl is from Wisconsin. Destroy John, I don't think you know of it, and that's okay. You're not from Wisconsin or the Midwest, so that is fair. That's really funny, and thank you for sharing that about Pokemon. That's really cute, actually. That you didn't know. Did you
like to tell it as a story to explain that I'm not good at games?
did you evolve your Bulbasaur, or did you just keep it Bulbasaur the whole time? Okay.
It was a super. By the end, it was like the most powerful Pokemon, and I did make it all the way to the end. I don't think I finished the game. Like I don't think I ever beat whatever I don't even remember what they're called. Like the Grandmasters that you have to beat.
Yeah, the Elite Four. Yeah.
Elite Four. Thank you. Yes. I don't think I think I got close to beating them and just didn't, because I also didn't understand at that time how to strategically use the right Pokemon against different types. Anyway, so now I probably could, and I bet I still have that Game Boy and that game somewhere. I could probably beat it because I didn't clear the cartridge. It's still saved on there, hopefully.
That's probably worth a lot at this point too, if it's like the original.
Maybe. Yeah,
that's amazing,
like
Chrissy.
I got Pokemon Blue. Yeah.
I think about when Pokemon Go came out. I think it came out when I was in grad school. And all of a sudden, a lot of people who were older and like had never maybe played video games or didn't know about Pokemon got into it because it was like it kept you active and it was like a new like interactive thing. I remember that one of the administrative staff at my department at IU at Indiana University, she got Pokemon Go. She never played a Pokemon game in her life. Probably didn't play video games either. And I just remember walking in one day and she was like, "Did you know Pokemon can evolve?" And it was just like really funny because as someone who grew up, I'm like, that's like the whole like central thing. Like you catch them, and of course not every Pokemon evolves, but it's very exciting when they do because you want to see what the next like evolutions are. So it's just very exciting to see her face when she learned like, oh my gosh, like these things that I got can have new forms or like there's other forms. It was very, very cute. Pokemon Go is a gateway drug. Yeah, there is a game that came out after Pokemon Go. Called Pikmin Bloom, which I got into for a while because I never played the Pikmin games growing up. But what I loved about Pikmin Bloom was that it kind of solved something I didn't like about Pokemon Go, which is that I felt like, like gyms were scary. I felt like when I was like walking or driving, I would always feel distracted, like, oh, I have to see like what's near me, and I wouldn't pay attention to my surroundings. But with Pikmin Bloom, you could just walk around and they would just plant flowers around your neighborhood, and it was just like really beautiful. Just like by walking around, I would just open my app, I would take my dog out for a walk, open Pikmin Bloom, take him on a walk, and when I came back it would tell me like how far I'd walked, like how many miles, and then I could see like all the flowers I'd planted like on a map of my neighborhood. So it was really sweet, and I really like that.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah.
And
then I stopped playing because I think I got I think it was like taking up a lot of like phone like space or something, so I haven't played it in like a year, but sometimes I think about it. Maybe I should drag it back out.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah. Okay, Chrissy, I'm going to ask you a very strange question, which is, are you familiar? Are you a cheesehead? Is that like a Wisconsin thing? Do you like cheese? Speaking of folklore and foodways, I feel like Wisconsin and cheese are connected.
I do like cheese, although I will say I'm not super into I'm not like well versed on cheese. I do enjoy cheese. I really I hadn't had cheese curds until I came to Wisconsin.
Really?
I never
interesting
cheese curds. Yeah. And if you're eating fresh cheese curds, they should squeak. That is the point of fresh cheese curds. But fried cheese curds are also excellent, and you should eat them because they are so good. So yeah, to be honest, I don't. The other thing about cheeseheads, I always just think of Green Bay Packers. I don't really know. I'm not a sports fan much, so I will say that. But I do, Yeah, I do enjoy cheese. I like being in a land that has a lot of cheese, and I have taken advantage of it when it comes my way. I just don't seek it out necessarily. I'm a pretty basic cheese eater. So
What are your favorite cheeses?
right now, I'm just really into like sharp cheddar, which is just, I feel like a basic. That's what I'm basic with my cheese
There's nothing
choices.
wrong with that.
Yeah, just like sharp. I hadn't had sharp cheddar in a while, and I started eating it again. I also really like what is it? Is it Havarti with dill? There's something that has dill in it, and oh my god, it's so delicious. And I also like pepper jack. Like I like cheeses when they get to either be like the very basic ones I love. I love goat cheese, manchego cheese, all these kind. But I also really love just sort of straightforward
Yeah.
basic cheddar,
Yes.
mozzarella.
Cheese is done right, and also like good quality, like simple cheese, but also like flavorful cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I think I was just asking about cheese because I think it's always fun to talk to people from other states, and as you said, food and foodways is one way we connect. And I guess I don't know a lot about Wisconsin, but I do know that there's a lot of cheese in Wisconsin.
I will say, fun thing that's going to happen is if you know the show Top Chef, their next season is going to be based in Wisconsin.
Really?
So, yeah, they're doing like a Wisconsin season. So I'm a huge fan of Top Chef, and I'm really excited to see what they do here. I'm going to probably be disappointed because they're going to pick some stereotypical stuff, but I'm very excited about what they do here.
That's very cool. I didn't know that. And I love Top Chef. That's great. So we have a question for you in chat. The Geach said, how do you feel about laughing cow cheese? Is it cheese? There is a cool article about how it's now a Vietnamese staple, which I didn't realize. That's very cool. I also didn't see this article, but I do like laughing cow cheese. Are you familiar with it?
I don't think I've ever had it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's usually in like the wedges. It comes in like the circle package, and then it's the one where I think it's the kind I've had in a plastic wedge, and you unwrap like the red thing and it opens up. So it's not like Baby Bell, but
like,
it's
it's not say like Baby Bell.
Well, I mean, in the sense that you kind of like open the package with like the little cheese inside, but it's like a very like spreadable cheese. It's almost like brie, I would say, but like more spreadable.
Okay.
I guess I'm the one answering the question here, but yeah.
all cheese-based products are cheese to me. I'm not a gatekeeper of really any food way, for that matter. I'm very much. I mean, I can pretend to be. I've been in many debates about like the best pizza, things like that. but yeah, I'm not a gatekeeper. If you call it cheese, I'll accept that it's cheese. So if they're calling it cheese, I'll accept that it's cheese.
It's like cream cheese, right? Cream cheese is cheese, right? Even though it's spreadable, which I feel like laughing cow cheese is also spreadable.
And I do love brie. Let me just say, a brie, like a baked brie with a chutney, is the best thing in the world. My mom used to make it all the time, and like for parties and stuff. And when for President Biden's inauguration, that was my celebratory food. I made brie with chutney.
Wait, what kind of chutney?
And watched the inauguration.
That's amazing.
It was like a what was it? I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to like visualize. It's like a apple chutney with like peppers and vinegar and
oh my goodness,
golden raisins, and I can't remember everything that's in it. Onions.
That is a hardcore chutney.
Really, really good.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really good chutney. And I learned to make it, and then I made it like 3 times with brie just because I could. So
you've just reminded me that baked brie is a thing. One of my best friends in my graduate school program at IU, when I was doing my PhD there, she was from Puerto Rico, so she would do baked brie with guava jam, which I'd never had before, and it was so good. And
that sounds good.
Now I want some. I need to think of an occasion to make baked brie with guava. Maybe the occasion is just that I want to make some, but
yeah, I mean, it does feel like a special occasion food, but I really think you should start incorporating special occasion foods into your everyday if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Because they're excellent, and you enjoy them more because you think of them as a special occasion food. So it feels special on the everyday too.
Yeah, my intuition, my intuitive eating tells me to just make it for myself and not worry.
There you go. Yeah.
That's really funny. Thank you so much for asking the laughing cow cheese question, Nageech. I love that. And I'm going to look it up. It was an SF Chronicle article. You always have such good resources. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Chrissy, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to sort of go back a little bit. So we talked about community powered earlier. I would love to ask you about your other work. What else is going on at Wisconsin Humanities? Like, I know, of course, that's not all you do. You must do other things. So I would love to showcase the work that's happening there too.
Well, so it's interesting because right now we're in a bit of an evaluation phase since we just did our pilot year. So we're spending a lot of time now looking back on what we did and thinking about how we can carry it forward. But that's also, we got the opportunity this year to be involved in the United We Stand initiative. And those of you who are part of Humanities Councils have, I'm sure, heard of this opportunity. United We Stand is I think it's a White House initiative working toward to combat hate-based violence and extremism in the United States. And the NEH put out a call to the State Humanities Council saying, we'd love for you to, propose some projects around this. And what we proposed is actually based in community powered. We're working with a number of community partners, including UW Extension and the organization We Are Many United Against Hate, to build a curriculum to teach youth to lead community conversations around these topics. So we're, going to spend the next several months developing a curriculum, and then we're going to pilot it in the spring to see if we can train some youth facilitators and get them on the ground leading community conversations with, members of the community of all ages, not just among youth. So it's a really exciting initiative because I think as Humanities Councils, we're always looking for ways to work with youth. And this is really cool because it fits with our method of building skills and giving people a toolkit so that the community can have these conversations and create space for that. So that's a really exciting initiative that we're just starting to work on. We just hired a graduate student who's going to be helping to write that. And I'm participating in a process of a curriculum jam with the UW Extension Positive Youth Development group who are doing really hard work to sort of look at what already exists out there for training youth to facilitate community conversations and give us a recommendation by the end of this process so that we don't have to build it entirely from scratch. We can look at what already exists. So it's a really cool project that I'm really excited to see come to fruition. And we're also going to be building it on our storytelling initiative, Love Wisconsin, which we're doing some work to develop sort of a separate curriculum for looking at some of the stories that Love Wisconsin has put out. Love Wisconsin tells the stories of Wisconsinites in their own voices. And so we are really excited to see how we can build storytelling into a curriculum like this and build history into curriculum like this so that there's a lot of opportunity to sort of have starting points within each community and each place. So it's very fun to sort of see all that come together because I think sometimes when we do different programs like Community Powered and Love Wisconsin, we don't get to see them cross over. Mm-hmm. And so it's really exciting to have this United We Stand project bring them together in a really fun way. And I'm really excited to see where that project goes.
I'm excited too. I love that you're getting to work with your other coworkers. I think I love when I get to work with my coworkers on, again, collaborate and see how our different things can mesh together. I feel like there's no better feeling than that. But I'm also excited to see what other councils are doing. So I shared a link in chat, unitedwestand.gov, if people want to learn about this White House initiative, where they're also giving funding to councils to do programs that align with this. So I think on our end for Nevada Humanities, we're going to do a combination of United We Stand programming together with Humanities at Play, actually. So this will be a lot of fun. And that's probably going to happen either later this winter or early next spring. We're going to do in-person events like tabletop games as well as the video game programming we're doing now.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear how that goes.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited. Okay, Chrissy, I'm going to ask you a question that I ask every first-time guest on our program. You probably already know this is coming, but there is no right or wrong answer, so don't worry either. But I would love to know, what do the humanities mean to you? And I think you've touched on this a little bit earlier, when we were talking about sort of your pathway, how you got to be where you are now. You had this really lovely, thoughtful answers about, the humanities and the public humanities. But I would love to know, what do the humanities mean to you?
Yeah, I do think this is such a difficult question, but I've been thinking about it a lot, especially because I did watch Dom's episode a couple weeks ago, and his answer blew me away. So I've been thinking about it since then. And, I grew up in a family that told a lot of stories. My maternal grandmother in particular was just a really respected family storyteller. And, growing up, I just loved to listen to her tell stories. And hearing her stories made me feel a lot closer to her. It was how I knew her, and it like built our relationship. And so as I grew up, I was thinking about this like throughout my life. Story became a language for me, and it's how I've understood the world is through the stories we tell. And that is clear in my life experiences. Like I became a writer of poetry and creative nonfiction. I became a documentary filmmaker in college, which has really informed a lot of the work that I do. And when I stumbled upon folklore, which I've already talked about, which studies story on top of culture and tradition and all these other things, it really reaffirmed the way I see the world. So for me, the humanities are a way of knowing. They're a way of knowing myself and knowing others. They're a way that I make sense of the world, because the stories we tell and the way I see the world is often through those pieces of the humanities, which is not only because of how I was trained, but of how I was raised. And just, the people who end up in the humanities, it's often already a part of who they are. So for me, the humanities are that way of knowing. And because of that, they inspire empathy and curiosity in me, which is what I was really talking about when I was thinking about, the lens of a folklorist, right? And through that empathy and curiosity, I'm really able to make connections to other people and build those relationships and get to know others. So it not only tells me like how to get to know other people, but it also tells me what I don't know and how I can fill that gap. And that's what I love about the humanities, is that they open you up to so much. So over the years, as I've taught the humanities and I've used the humanities myself and see what the humanities are to people, I really think that for me, all those things together, it like gives me a lot of hope for the world too, because I see what the humanities can do in someone's life. And I see what they do in my life every day, even when we're in like through the pandemic in the darkest times, or it feels like we're really separated from one another. I feel like the humanities became a way that I kept coming together with other people, whether it was just getting around on a Zoom to tell stories, or whether it was, to watch movies together or read a book and talk about it, or whatever it happened to be. Those opportunities for me are the pieces of the humanities. So they can remind us of our past and bring us together and help us find a way forward. And they inspire us to be better, not just for ourselves, but for each other. And so I just really think that the humanities have all that power to connect us to one another. And through that, I feel like there's hope. There's hope no matter what's happening in the world. So I don't know. That's my stream of consciousness
Chrissy,
answer.
I almost cried. I'm not kidding. That was such a sweet answer. I was like, when you're saying yes, like, during the pandemic, like just how, the humanities were there for us and brought us together, and how I think a lot of people, don't realize, the role that it has in our everyday life. I loved talking to different on Instagram about how like they were inspired by like maybe a book they read when they were younger, or maybe they studied mythology, or just an experience or a mentor they had. And I just really loved your answer. Thank you. There's no right or wrong answer, but I feel like if there is a spectrum that is of right to very like right, I think it was a very right answer.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Thank you for that. I'm going to ask you a fun question now, which is, what are your top 3 places in Wisconsin? And, I totally understand you probably haven't been to every corner of Wisconsin, but, if you were to share some places that are especially meaningful, or places that you would bring someone if they ever came to visit you, what are your top 3 places?
Yeah. This is also a hard question for me because I spent several years here when I was in grad school, really sort of anchored to Madison. And part of that was because I didn't have a car and I didn't seek out a lot of opportunities to go travel the state. So it's only recently that I've really gotten a chance to go around the state and see other places. So I'll start with Madison because it's amazing. I love Madison as a city. For those of you who don't know, Madison is on an isthmus between 2 lakes. And it's also where the state capitol is. So it's kind of a really happening place. It's where the University of Wisconsin-Madison is. There's a lot happening here. There's a whole student life, and then the students leave, and in the summer we just have a lot of other fun. And the lakes are especially cool. I'm very much a lake girl. I grew up on a small lake. I was born 3 months premature because I didn't want to miss a lake vacation.
That's funny.
I grew up going to the Great Lakes every summer. So I very much love bodies of water, and I live on the isthmus between these two lakes. So I love the fact that I can just like take a walk 3 blocks away and I'm on the shore of one of the lakes, you know. It's incredible to me. And so with that comes lots of lovely things, like especially if you're someone who does water sports in the summer or skiing and snow sports in the winter, there's lots to do here to get out in nature. And I think that's fantastic. But on top of that, also we have like the Memorial Union Terrace, which is on campus, but it's right on the lake, and they have live music, and it's this beautiful place where you can sit out, and you know they have concessions and food and drink and all sorts of other things. And so I love Madison, and I love the lakes. I think that there's so much good there, and lots of fun that you can have. So that's, you know, when people come visit me, I'm just like, you want to go to one of the parks? I'm literally like within a mile. There's like 4 parks.
That's amazing.
From me, and both lakes. Like I'm not that far from. I live closer to one of the lakes, but the other lake is literally like less than a mile away. So yeah. So Madison is I think really to me one of my favorite places in the state. But I will say that as I've gotten to know the state, there's like I feel like whenever you start to intimately know a state, you realize there's so much there. And so a lot of these, I mean, I'm going to mention one, and I'm going to mention some that are places I've looked forward to spending more time in. I'll say it that way. So one thing that I started to experience just these past couple of years is, and I've only done it in a car, is driving through the Driftless region. Oh. So the Driftless area is this area of the state that is geographically different from other areas of the state because it doesn't have the drifts that the glaciers. Couldn't come up with the right word. Glaciers left when they went through the state. Like it was just an area totally missed by the glaciers. And you can tell it because there's none of these drifts of silt and rock and other things that came from other places. And it's just this beautiful area that is, you know, valleys and bluffs and hills and rivers and all of this gorgeous stuff. It is, I've like driven into it and just been like, where am I? It is gorgeous here. And I didn't expect to see that in Wisconsin. So when I was driving around, I was like, this is amazing. And it's literally just, you find yourself on the top of a hill and you can see for miles all around.
That's amazing.
Just this beautiful, beautiful area. And so I hope to explore it more. Like I hope to actually go visit places in the Driftless and like see places in the Driftless. And my third place is somewhere that's actually in the Driftless region, but it's a very specific thing, which is the American Players Theater, which is an outdoor theater. They have outdoor and indoor facilities, but they do a season of plays, including a lot of Shakespeare outside, which for me is just, I grew up going to Shakespeare festivals and stuff that were outdoors, and it feels very cool to get to go see plays there. And so that's actually in the Driftless region, but it's one of my favorite places to like go spend some time. And every summer when my family starts to plan when they're visiting, I'm like, what can I find at American Players Theater? And I haven't been able to get them out there yet, but I've only been a couple times myself. So I'm excited to be able to go again and see more shows and hopefully bring some people I love there too when they're here visiting. So those are my 3, but there's so many other places. Like I'm dying to get to other places in the state and do some touristy things and like see what's actually there, because you never really think about being a tourist in your own state until you're like, here, I want to take a vacation and here's what I want to do. So I really want to plan out some time to see some of these other places and get to know them, because there's so much that I haven't seen. And it's exciting to be in that place, to like know that this is a state I love and know that there's so much more I can learn about it.
I'm curious, when you travel or when you're like a touristy kind of in that touristy mood, do you travel to places because, you know, you want to like try a certain kind of food? Is it for like a certain like destination or landmark? Like I'm curious, like how do you pick where to go? What drives you?
I think a lot of it is okay, it could be any of those things. In most cases, I think I look for like a geographic feature or something. Like I want to go to a lake, or I want to go to a place where I can hike up a mountain or whatever it is. So that's, I think, often what I would think of. But at the same time, like I definitely would love to go to a place just because of the food. Or like when I go to Milwaukee, I'm like, I'm gonna go get food. Like what food do I want? Let's find the best place and go there. or Milwaukee's also really known for its cultural festivals. And again, I haven't gotten to, sorry, John just put food motivated in the chat. I haven't gotten to, explore all of those things yet. But yeah, I think I am food motivated, John. And I do think that that just adds to it when you can find like a really cool place to eat. But I do think that I tend to probably prioritize the space I'm in, or the landmark, or the geographic thing, or whatever. Yeah, like Door County. I haven't been to Door County yet, but I'm dying to go. And so I think, things like that. There's a lot of places that have all of it. So you just go, you find the thing that'll get you there, and then you find all the other things with it. That's what I think is how I do it.
I feel like Door County is this like mystical place to me because so my roommate in college was from Wisconsin, and I just I just heard all these stories about people going to Door County. I still don't exactly know what Door County is. It like just a county with lots of things happening, but it just seems like this mystical place where people go when they want to have food and cheese.
Yeah, Rio Girl, tell some of the highlights of Door County that you think we should hit up.
Yeah.
Because I just, again, I've heard a lot about it and know that I need to go. In fact, that's, my dad is nearing retirement, and I'm when my parents are retired, I'm like, you got to come and we're going to go to Door County. Like, I need someone to go with. So if anyone wants to go somewhere with me, please let me know. Send me a message outside the chat. But yeah, and Mount Horeb does have lots of cute trolls.
What is Mount Horeb? Is this a city or?
Yeah, it's a place, and they're known for being. I don't know all the lore, and I should, because my advisor actually lives in Mount Horeb, but they're, one of their traditions is being, the trolls under the bridge, okay. I guess is the way that I've learned to describe it. So it's, they have this idea and this playful thing about trolls and everything that's there. So I don't know if someone can explain it better in the chat. I'm terrible at it because I haven't been yet.
This sounds amazing. Yeah, the troll capital of the world is amazing. Real Girl shares some places in Door County, including Rock Island, L. Johnson's Peninsula State Park, yes. Folklore Theater, lots of beaches. Oh my goodness. Summer, I would say summer vacay, except I feel like summer is quickly coming to an end. But
yeah, but in the future, I will for sure go. I'm probably not going to make it out there this year, but I will in the future.
So Chrissy, our time together is slowly coming to an end. I just felt like I felt like we just started, talking like 2 minutes ago and starting Midnight Bakery seems like, I want to play it again, even though we know, it's a very short game, but I wish it would go, longer and longer. I'm just wondering if there's any last thoughts you'd like to share with us, and if people have any last comments or questions for Chrissy, please share them now. I've just loved chatting with you. But yeah, Chrissy, do you have any sort of like parting thoughts, like things that you wanted to say but maybe didn't get to say, or things that you'd like to plug coming up? This is your chance.
I can't think of anything except to say, keep an eye out for cool stuff from Community Powered. Follow us on Instagram, Community Powered WI for Wisconsin on Instagram. And there's so much cool stuff that we're doing, and I'd love to share more of it with you in the future. So everybody just keep your eye out for all those things coming out about us. And I'm so excited to see where it goes. Hopefully we can talk again when it's in its new iteration in the future.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely 100,000,000% love to stream with you again in the future. Maybe we can think about like next year, like maybe we could see catch Chrissy's episode from last year and see where she is now and see what Community Powered is doing, especially, with the United We Stand initiative. It'd be great to see maybe midway through how you're doing and how that's going. So yeah, I would absolutely love to connect with you and see where you are. And I'm sure everyone here, if you're still following us next year, you can remember Chrissy and, see what they're doing now. I wanted to plug before we go. So this Thursday, this is sort of this week, we're doing a series of streams where we highlight other humanities councils and Center for the Book. So we're actually doing 3 streams this week. I think this is one of the few weeks in which we do 3. Usually we do 2. Sometimes we do 1, usually 2. But tomorrow we're having a shorter stream, just an hour-long stream at 12 p.m. Pacific. This is special because we're going to be talking with Sammy the Interviewing Toucan, who is a stuffed toucan from the Indiana Indiana Center for the Book about their kid pick this year for the National Book Festival, which is happening. It's a Library of Congress National Book Festival happening in Washington, D.C. on, I believe, August 12th. So we're going to be chatting with Sammy about their book that they're picking to highlight their YA and kids literature. And then we're also going to be chatting with Suzanne Walker, who may or may not be the person behind Sammy the Interviewing Toucan. Suzanne Walker about the work she does with Indiana Center for the Book. So I'm really excited for that. So that's tomorrow at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And then this Thursday, July 27th, at 6 p.m. Pacific. So it's a little bit later for people who are in Central or Eastern time, but you can always catch the YouTube recording after. We're going to be revisiting the game Firewatch, which we did a few weeks back, I believe back in, I want to say May or June, maybe early June or late May, with Sam Upsall from Indiana Humanities. So Lucas is from Wyoming, and the game Firewatch is set in a fictional Wyoming. So it's we're going to be wandering around the fictional woods of Wyoming as a park ranger, and I'm really excited to get his thoughts on, the game versus Wyoming in real life. And yeah, Jack 4K2 says Firewatch. Yes, you know this game. I have not played it all the way through, but it's a really I enjoy this sort of like fictional, like, you're a park ranger and you get to see this like beautiful landscape unfold in front of you, and the story unfolds along the way. It's really, really cool. So that's this Thursday. Really busy week ahead of us. But Chrissy, thank you again so much for appearing on Humanities at Play with me. I'm really glad that we could share more about Community Powered, about Love Wisconsin, about all the work Wisconsin Humanities is doing. I'm also excited that we got to plug Folkwise, which of course we love. We had Dom Tartaglia on, was it 2 weeks ago now? A couple weeks ago, where people could watch me learn how to speed eat hot dogs and pizza. That recording will be up on YouTube soon. I still think it's like, future blackmail material, but that's all right. I have no shame, so it's okay. But that was a lot of fun.
It was fantastic.
Thank you, Chrissy. But yeah, you can definitely, if you loved, meeting Chrissy today, although she's not, always, the face of Folkwise, you can, again, she is behind the scenes. You can still support her by checking out their channel, which they stream on Tuesday evenings on first and third Thursdays, I believe. And they're also active on social media and YouTube. Simba, so proud of you. Thank you, Simba is my dog. He wanted hot dogs all the time. So yeah, thank you again. I'm gonna, Real Girl, you shared a link to our survey. So again, we do have this survey that we always like to know what people think of our program. So if you're so inclined, we would love for you to fill it out and just let us know if there's future guests you would like us to have, how you think we might improve, or if you're just enjoying it and think nothing should be improved, which is false. I think everything can always be improved. But if you're loving it, let us know that too. We always appreciate that. Yeah, Chrissy, thank you again so much. I hope you had fun. I hope we'll have you back on next year. And I can't wait to highlight more Humanities Council people in the near future.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kathleen, for putting this together and doing the whole show. It was fantastic.
Yeah, of course. All right, we're going to head out to our goodbye stream scene. But again, I had a blast, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.